100 Days in Office of Accomplishments by the Philip J. Pierre-led administration.
Dear Lord, we bring before you our Prime Minister designate. We ask that you give to him discernment, wisdom, and fortitude.
I, Philip Joseph Pierre, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, and I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and that I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God. The country needed to be rescued from the abyss into which it was plunging. The majority of you accepted my offer to lead that rescue mission. The full rescue team also includes you, the people. As Prime Minister, I promise to be Prime Minister not for some of the people, but for all the people. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, we have presented to the people of St. Lucia the team of men and women who will form the next cabinet of St. Lucia.
I, Ernest Hilaire.
I, Alvaro Manos Baptiste.
I, Sean Andre Edward.
I, Moses Jabatis.
I, Kenson Joel Kazmi.
I, Gibeon Ferdinand.
Do swear that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia.
That I will uphold and defend the Constitution
and the laws of St. Lucia.
And that I will conscientiously and impartially
discharge my responsibilities
to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
I, Richard Frederick.
I, Wayne Rossini Daniel Gerard.
I, Joachim Andre Henry.
I, Emma Hippolyte.
I, Stevenson King.
I, Virginia Albert Poyot.
I, Pauline Antoine Prosper.
I, Alfred Paul Prosper.
Do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia.
That I will uphold and defend the Constitution of St. Lucia.
That as a Minister of Government of St. Lucia,
I will discharge my duties and perform my functions honestly,
to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the law,
and always in the interest of sovereignty,
solidarity, well-being,
and prosperity of St. Lucia.
So help me God.
To the people of St. Lucia, I invite you to journey with us on this exciting journey to improve the quality of life of the people of St. Lucia. It's a task that together we can achieve. Our government will listen to the people and will always put them first.
Our response to COVID-19. Over 20,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines administered in 100 days.
We will continue to prioritize the COVID-19 immunization program. We are encouraged to note an increase in the number of vaccinations over the last few weeks. Now, just over 1 in 5, or 22% of St. Lucians, is fully vaccinated, and just over 1 in 4 St. Lucians, or 27% of the population, have received 1 dose of a vaccine. We have also started providing booster doses for special groups who received their second vaccine dose 6 months ago. As encouraging as these developments may be, we know that we are a long way off from the ideal situation where vaccination is concerned. Our vaccination rate is well below that of many countries in the Caribbean. We aim to catch up. We must do better because St. Lucia is still at a critical stage in its fight against the 4th wave of this pandemic.
Easing of operating protocols. The state of emergency was discontinued and shorter confinement hours were introduced. The reopening of dine-in at restaurants was also allowed. Social gatherings and religious ceremonies allowed. Social activities for up to 100 people were approved by the COVID-19 Management Center. establishment of the COVID-19 Management Center. The renaming of the organization, coupled with the inclusion of a wide cross-sector of stakeholders to ensure depoliticization, this will engender trust and facilitate transparency and consultation. Resuscitation of the health sector.
We wanted a special group of people to bridge between the clinical, the doctors and the nurses and the welfare of the patients. The whole idea of the patient welfare officer, it's an idea which speaks to our theme in this government of putting people first. The Prime Minister is very, very focused on this, and this is yet another example of our activities to ensure that we put people first.
Installation of telecommunications system at Respiratory Hospital. Internal and external communication is now available, which allows for greater access to hospital personnel by patients and families. 8 Cuban physicians engaged to assist with the care of patients and provide support to overworked doctors. New mobile X-ray machine acquired for Respiratory Hospital.
Through diplomatic channels, France and St. Lucia have a long-standing framework for health cooperation. The donation of this Fuji digital X-ray portable nano machine with the price tag of over 160,000 EC dollars by the government and people of France to the government and people of St. Lucia is timely.
Secured 30 oxygen concentrators to assist with COVID-19 patients.
The Ministry of Health recognizes this donation of oxygen concentrators as another in a series of material, financial and technical support that the Republic of China and Taiwan is providing to St. Lucia in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. I must also acknowledge the tremendous contribution that the people of the Republic of China and Taiwan continue to make in other areas of health.
Installation of central monitoring system to assist with the care and monitoring of Ward 9 and 15-bed ICU at the Respiratory Hospital.
This week, for the very first time, at the Victoria Hospital, we installed a central electronic monitoring system. When completed, doctors and nurses will be able to view the status of patients on one screen and in one location.
Receipt of plug-and-play medical equipment by St. Jude Hospital. Improvement of diagnostic capacity to facilitate usage by the general public for cardiac ultrasound, ultrasound unit, portable X-ray machine. Retooling the education system. Facilities fees paid for 14,180 primary and 10,760 secondary school students. $2.6 million was spent by the government to assist parents with school expenses.
Today, we have committed roughly $2.6 million. That is what will be disbursed to the primary and secondary schools in our country. And the objective is to help run the affairs of the schools. We are under no illusion as a government and as a ministry. And we don't want anybody to believe that we are saying in any way whatsoever that $2.6 million by way of facilities fees is a sufficient amount to take care of all the needs of the schools. But it represents and it symbolizes a very important first step.
And I want to thank the officials of the Ministry of Finance for buying into that vision and making, and in real trying times, making that facility available so we can support and pay the facility fees for thousands of parents to support their children. Thousands. And whilst I'm there, at the end of the month, we hope to be able to pay CXC fees in English and Maths. English A, I was told to say, English and Maths for the children who are sitting the CXC exams in June. putting people first. Really putting people first.
1,200 MiFi devices made available to households to assist students with distributed learning during the stay-at-home periods. Secured 4,000 laptops for students. Reintroduction of the one laptop per child program after being stopped by the previous administration. Successful full face-to-face reopening of school. During the second week of November, all students were welcomed back to the safe physical classrooms. Allocated funds to pay CXE mathematics and English fees for Form 5 students when it becomes due. The first in a series of steps to make education accessible to all students. Rebuilding housing and infrastructure. 5,000 households to receive home communications bundles from Flow.
We have discussed and got the approval of Flow to initiate what is called the Home Communications Relief Bundle, which will provide relief to 5,000 households that will pay $20 a month with no installation costs, and they will receive the following package from Flow: broadband, one modem, a fixed line to include 100 local Flow fixed minutes, and 10 TV programs, religious and other channels, and they will get a box. 5,000 households in St. Lucia working with Flow will get that privilege.
$10.8 million for Housing Assistance Program to assist the poor and vulnerable in repairing homes which are in deplorable conditions.
Successive governments have embarked upon the regularization of an unplanned development, have embarked upon the construction and selling of houses. But never before in the history of governance in this beautiful country of ours before has any government taken over $10 million and spend it to improve the living condition of the people of this country.
It took the cabinet through the minister to convince the Taiwanese and the other officials that a more immediate need was to repair the houses of people in this country. So whereas what we wanted to do, what the money was initially aimed at doing, was to improve the infrastructure in a certain area. Needed. Because I said before, it's a matter of inclusion. Needed. But we sought the immediate needs were the poor and the underprivileged and the indigent.
$4.2 million rent reprieve for residential and commercial tenants of the CDC.
As a caring government, we have helped the tenants by relieving them of a total of approximately $4.2 million. The obligation is now on the tenants to help themselves by being responsible tenants. I do hope that this kind of relationship will augur well for the NHC and its tenants. I pause here to say that that reprieve cannot apply to any judgment currently existing.
Annual medical checkups for all staff of the CCC. Introduce the free of charge full medical examination for all staff of the Castries Constituency Council. Repairing social safety nets. 2,500 households benefited from educational assistance programs. $1.8 million has been allocated to assist parents with the purchasing of school books, uniforms, meal allowance, etc. for students. 318 households assisted through revised Hurricane Elsa relief program. Implemented the revised $3 million Hurricane Elsa relief program, where households received technical and material assistance.
That program is not going to erase all the housing issues in the country. It can't. It's only $10 million. So it's not going to, we're not going to fix every house. We can't. And if anybody's expecting that, that's not going to happen. But as we're going to take one small step to improve the houses of a few people in this country, and I support and I applaud this venture.
$48,000 to explore gender disparities in education.
We have an economy that is heavily dependent on tourism, and that is where the majority of girls and women are employed, and that has dealt a devastating blow to employment for women. We have vested interest in understanding male academic attainment in our current context, given prevailing gender stereotypes in education and the traditional gender-blind educational curricula, assessment and disciplinary practices in our educational institutions. We cannot ignore the conversation in the broader context of the growing male population in our prisons and the loss of our young men to violence and suicide.
$1.6 million secured for island-wide beautification project.
These $612,000 will be used for community projects. It's also going to be used to clean up St. Lucia. I'm sure many of you look at the state of this country, the verges. There are some areas in the country where the bush actually is on the road. That cannot happen. A country cannot continue to look like that. And in all constituencies, we'll try to use some of that $612,000 to clean St. Lucia, to have a new spirit, a freshness, a cleanliness in this country. And you can't have a country where it seems to be developing, but where the people are not part of that development.
Revitalizing agriculture. Decriminalization of 30 grams of cannabis for recreational use. A first in a series of steps to create a medicinal and recreational cannabis industry. Launch of second phase of the National School Feeding Program. This phase focuses on healthy diets and the use of safe and fresh local produce into meals prepared by the school canteens. Ensured monetary support to farmers and fisherfolk. Farmers and fisherfolk were finally paid Hurricane Elsa monetary support after suffering severe losses during that natural disaster. Establishment of a technical team to explore potential markets for bananas in the United Kingdom. Since the liquidation of Winfresh under the former administration, new international arrangements for the purchase of St. Lucian bananas needs to be formed. Launch the Cocoa Sector Enhancement Project to increase productivity and production of cocoa for local consumption and for export. Recommit to citizen security. Training and hiring of 49 new special police constables. Increase the number of police constables to provide citizens with adequate care and protection. COVID-19 breaches will now be a ticketable offense. In addition, people who had been previously arrested, charged and convicted for COVID-19 protocol breaches will have their records expunged. Procurement of vehicles for the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
At this trying time, we know finances are very hard. However, the government puts our security first. We put our people first, and therefore the government has decided to invest in this vehicle, and we expect the St. Lucia Police Force to use it diligently, wisely, and to provide top-level security and service to the people of St. Lucia.
Expungement of criminal records for use of small quantities of cannabis. People who have been convicted for the possession of small quantities of cannabis will have their records expunged, allowing them opportunities to be gainfully employed and without the stigma of conviction. Increase police presence in communities. To curb the long unchecked gun violence, which has reached record-breaking numbers over the past 5 years. Reimagining tourism and commerce. Return of Virgin Atlantic Airlines to St. Lucia. Successfully negotiated the return of Virgin Atlantic to St. Lucia after a 29-month absence from the market. Certification of alternative properties. 40 additional alternative properties were certified to reopen during the period, resulting in an additional 40 persons being employed on a part-time basis. Launched the restructured Expo Dubai. Attracted over 20,000 visitors per week during the course of the Expo with a sales conversion rate of approximately 5%.
Really, it is a tremendous opportunity. We've never had an opportunity like this to actually go into a new source market over such a prolonged period of time and to be able to get new business. So for us, it's fantastic and we're excited about it.
Launched Taste of St. Lucia storefront on eBay to improve the online presence of SMEs, particularly in the COVID-19 environment. Refocus on youth and sports. Development of facilities management policy to ensure the proper upkeep and accountability of sporting facilities across the island. Secured lighting for Bonte Court, Bocage and Corinth playing fields. To provide lighting for nighttime use of residents and to host friendly and revenue-generating competitions. Hosting of safe sports. Development of COVID-19 programs in collaboration with the Ministry of Education for students in sports. The Youth Economy Program. Completed the design and presentation of the Youth Economy, which will be launched before the end of November. Restoring good governance. Convening of Parliament within 30 days. Acting in accordance with the Constitution, unlike the previous administration, the first sitting of Parliament was convened within 30 days.
Madam Clerk, please administer the oath to honorable members.
I, Joseph Pierre, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and partially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
Election of a Deputy Speaker of the House.
Honorable members, please elect your Deputy Speaker. Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to nominate Honorable Jeremiah Nobbin.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to second the motion.
Thank you. Are there any other nominees? There are no other nominations. Honorable members, the question is that the Honorable Jeremiah Nobbert be elected Deputy Speaker. I now put the question. As many as that opinion say aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Congratulations, member.
Appointment of St. Jude Hospital Reconstruction Project Review Committee to review the operations for completion and commissioning of the St. Jude Hospital. Appointment of Uranora International Airport Review Committee. tasked to review the scope and financing arrangements of the HIA redevelopment project. Appointment of all boards. Board appointments were made with sensitivity to gender, geography, and age of the citizenry.
And now, the Honorable Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Honorable Philip J. Pierre.
I, Philip Joseph Pierre, being appointed Prime Minister, do swear that I will, to the best of my judgment, at all times, when so required,
100 days in office of accomplishments by the Philip J. Pierre-led administration.